The candle bends into a white spear and the room inhales. Shadows slide the wrong way, and the wood floor hums. Jonah Brooks said, "If anyone hears me, I am still here." His fear is simple. He wants proof that he matters. Cold light crawls over his hands. The air tastes like metal and rain that never falls. A voice lives inside his ribs and presses once. It says nothing yet says everything. He is seen. He does not know by whom. The flame grows taller and thinner, like a thread pulled from the dark. Jonah thinks of the promise he broke. He thinks of the door he never opened. He is ready to run. He is frozen. He whispers a second prayer, smaller than breath. Jonah Brooks said, "Tell me what to do." The floor shakes. The light blooms into a shape of silver edges. No steps. No wind. Only a weight like thunder without sound. The voice returns and marks him. "You have been seen." The candle snaps and the room goes black. Dark holds. Then a low hum fades like a train far away. Jonah stands slowly and tries the light switch. Nothing. He waits for the voice, and silence answers. He wants proof, yet dreads it. He smells wax and cold metal. He feels the mark inside his chest. Jonah Brooks said, "Was that real, or am I broken again?" He opens the window an inch and the night air slides in. The city is quiet, but not empty. He hears one siren, then nothing. He presses his palm over his heart and counts. One beat, another. He wants a path, any path. He finds only stillness. He thinks of calling Evelyn and stops. What would he say? That the fire burned cold and saw him. The switch clicks once more. Darkness holds its breath. The quiet feels like a door that might open if he asks the right question. Morning smears pale gold across the church steps. Jonah waits outside with a paper cup that cools in his hands. He almost leaves twice. Then the door opens and Evelyn Carter steps into the light. She reads his face before he speaks. Jonah Brooks said, "I saw something and I do not trust my own mind." Evelyn Carter said, "Tell me what happened and breathe while you do." He tells the shape and the cold fire. He keeps the voice for last. Her eyes do not flinch. He wants her to call it grace. He fears she will call it grief. A bell rings once, clean and thin. The sound hangs between them like a thread that might snap if either pulls too hard. Evelyn sends Jonah to Marcus for a check, and the clinic smells like antiseptic and rain on old iron. Marcus taps notes and watches Jonah's hands shake. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Sleep loss does strange things. We will rule things out, then talk." Jonah nods, unsure. Machines blink soft green. He tries to describe light that felt like a thought. Marcus listens, jaw set, but not cruel. He wants causes he can name. Jonah wants a truth that will not vanish at noon. The clock ticks louder than it should. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "I believe your fear is real. The rest needs data." Jonah hears the word data like a closed door. He leaves with tests and a heart that will not slow. Back home, Jonah sits on the floor where the light had stood. He sets the candle on its ring mark. He does not light it. He studies the wax like it might speak. He thinks of Evelyn's steady gaze. He thinks of Marcus and the word data. He wants both mercy and proof. The two tug at him like tides. Jonah Brooks said, "If you are real, return. If you are not, teach me how to live anyway." The room is quiet, but it is not empty. Something lingers, thin as thread. He closes his eyes and waits. A draft lifts a page and sets it down. The wick holds a black point. His breath slows. The silence presses close and gentle, as if an answer is on its way but chooses not to arrive yet. Sirens cut the street and a crowd surges like water around a break. Jonah feels the mark in his chest thrum too fast. Neon blurs on rain-dark asphalt. He runs without a plan. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Stop and breathe, you will collapse." Jonah does not stop. The air smells like wet copper and hot wires. A cold draft moves against the wind, and the lights along the block die in a ripple. Jonah Brooks said, "It is here. I can feel it." A whisper slides along brick and glass. It sounds like his own voice saying, "Quit." He wants help and does not trust anyone. A figure watches from a bus shelter, and the white glow gathers near its edges. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "You need a safe room." Now, Jonah turns the corner and finds a door unlocked. They enter a church-side hall where the air is still and warm. The door thuds and the city hush fades. Jonah leans on cool stone and counts his breath. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Panic will trick your brain. Name 5 things you see." Jonah names candle soot, old wood, a small cross, a frayed rug, a note tacked by Evelyn. The act slows his pulse. He feels small and held. He is not safe yet. He is less alone. Jonah Brooks said, "It followed me." "I know it did." Dr. Marcus Hale said, "If it is in your mind, we can help. If not, we will adapt." A thin white feather rests on the sill. It was not there before. The feather points toward a dark hall. The hall breathes cold, and the feather lifts though no air moves. A shadow detaches from the far arch and walks without steps. The shade arrives like a verdict already signed. It steals warmth first, then sound. Jonah's teeth ache. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "There is no draft. Do you feel that drop in temp?" The shade presses a memory against Jonah's mind, and he sees the door he never opened. He tastes iron. The candles shrink as if obeying. Jonah Brooks said, "You do not own me." The shadow deepens and spreads to the ceiling. It carries patience like a weapon. It promises silence for a price. The price is everything he is. The air waits for his answer. Evelyn enters with quiet steps that carry weight. She does not rush. She sets a hand on the doorframe, and the room seems to remember itself. Evelyn Carter said, "Stand where the fear cannot name you." Jonah breathes and names himself out loud. His voice steadies. Evelyn's eyes hold sorrow and fire. She speaks of a night years ago and a choice he fled. She does not accuse. She invites. Evelyn Carter said, "Mercy is not soft. It is a blade that frees what chains you." Dr. Marcus Hale looks away, unsure whether to stay. The cold loosens, then clings again. Jonah feels both pulled and anchored. Wisdom does not erase danger. It teaches how to stand near it. They circle a plan on a folded service leaflet. Evelyn maps a return to the room where the first sign came. Dr. Marcus Hale argues for tests and time. Jonah chooses the harder road. Jonah Brooks said, "I will not run. If it hunts me, I will face it where it began." He shakes but stands taller. Evelyn Carter said, "Then take light with you. Not to fight, to reveal." She gives a small vial of blessed oil and a phrase to carry. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Call me if your heart races too fast." The door opens to rain and night engines. The city waits like a long corridor. Jonah steps through. The feather falls from his pocket and lands pointing home. Morning brings a soft calm that feels borrowed. Jonah meets Grace Turner at a diner that smells like coffee and rain dried on chrome. She slides into the booth with a careful smile. Grace Turner said, "Evelyn asked me to check on you." The clink of cups hides a tremor in her hand. They talk about simple things first. Then the room tilts. A man at the counter pays with exact change twice. The radio skips the same lyric. Jonah Brooks said, "Something is off." Grace nods but deflects. Her eyes track the door as if waiting for someone who never comes. Safety is a coat that does not fit. The server forgets the check. The air thins. Trust threads itself between them over short words. Grace speaks of a night when she could not forgive herself. Jonah hears his own hidden story in hers. Grace Turner said, "Shame is a loyal liar." He almost laughs and does not. The booth becomes a small refuge. The coffee cools untouched. Jonah Brooks said, "I want to tell you what I saw, but I fear how it will sound." Grace says nothing and keeps her hand near his on the table. A silver flicker passes in the reflection of the sugar jar. It is gone. He doubts his eyes. She looks away too quickly. The moment holds a warmth that might break if named. Across from the hospital, Dr. Marcus Hale meets Jonah under a gray sky. Marcus points to a bench and sits like a judge who wants to acquit, but must ask hard things. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "What you seek may not be safe. Would you accept a proof that costs your visions?" Jonah feels a mirror held to his fear. He could be the version of himself that never risks faith. He could be the version that loses his mind. The choice is a blade with two edges. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Your brain protects you by closing doors." Jonah wonders if those doors also keep out light. The wind presses their coats flat. He cannot tell which path is mercy. Inside the exam room, Marcus speaks softly and draws a clear line. Dr. Marcus Hale said, "Short sedation, a scan, and maybe the storms will quiet." Jonah agrees because he wants peace. The ivy bites. The lights dim to a low hum. He hears a whisper that is not Marcus. It says, "Surrender and be numb." Jonah Brooks said, "Stop." I changed my mind. The door locks with a quiet click. Marcus does not meet his eyes. Dr. Marcus Hale said, 10 minutes only." The shade slides along the ceiling like spilled ink. It leans in as the world slows. Betrayal lands without a shout. It lands like sleep he did not choose. The sedative thins and leaves a bitter calm. Jonah blinks hard and the room returns in pieces. He hears a distant alarm in another wing. The shade has gone but left a cold echo. He feels used and strangely clear. Jonah Brooks said, "You locked the door." Dr. Marcus Hale said, "I was afraid of losing you to a story." The words bruise more than the needle. Jonah slides off the bed and stands. He sees a new path he does not like but must walk. He will face the place of first fire without permission. He will not ask again. He leaves the room and does not wait for a discharge. Silence follows like a vow. Rain has stopped and left a quiet that feels scraped clean. The hospital hum fades behind Jonah as he walks a side street alone. Neon puddles dry to dull smears. He counts his breaths and hears only the echo of the locked door. He feels small, not empty. He touches the spot in his chest where the voice once pressed. Jonah Brooks said, "You used fear to move me, and I let you." He means Marcus, but also himself. A bus sighs and pulls away like a tired animal. He thinks of Evelyn's blade of mercy. He thinks of Grace's careful hands. The pieces begin to meet. The cold came first, then silence, then a promise of numb peace. That is the shade's shape, not fire but frost. The truth lands soft. The white fire was not the threat. It was the light that hurt what fed on him. A faint silver gleam winks on a dark window and points home. The window scent of old wax pulls him back to the first night. Memory opens with a sound like a match in a cave. Past and present braid. He kneels again on the scarred floor. The candle lifts into white fire. He hears his heartbeat and the room breathe. He sees the door he never opened years ago. The call he ignored. The text he let die. In the memory, the hallway smelled like rain and cheap soap. A phone rang until it did not. Jonah Brooks said, "I left you there." The words taste like iron. The silver Herald does not speak, yet the light steadies as if listening. A draft cold as blame slips under the door, in the past and in the now. He understands the order of things. Shame opened the door to the shade. The light tried to close it. Jonah stands and faces the space where the herald waits like a mirror made of weather. His breath is thin but steady. The room holds its breath with him. Jonah Brooks said, "If you are from mercy, teach me how to return." Silence answers first. His heart knocks once hard. The white fire lowers to a human height, patient and near. He feels heat without burn, cold without pain, a middle path like clear water. The pause stretches until it becomes speech inside the bones. The words are simple. Go to the place you refused. Tell the truth you hid. Do not bargain. Do not flee. He nods and swallows. The floor feels firm as a promise. The purpose shifts. This is not about seeing a sign. It is about becoming one. A shadow rises in the ceiling corner and pours down the wall like ink that knows his name. The shade speaks in a voice that uses his own doubts. The shade said, "I kept you safe from the cost. I asked only that you stay quiet." Its calm slices. It claims care while feeding on hollow. It is not rage. It is control. Jonah Brooks said, "You are the weight that pressed me to the floor and called it peace." The light does not flare. It waits. The shade shows him futures where numbness wins. He stands still and lets the pictures pass. The line between enemy and comfort blurs, then hardens. He asks himself who he is without this cold armor. The answer scares and frees him. The real enemy is the bargain to never feel. He does not shout. He does not beg. He accepts the cut of truth and lets it clean him. Jonah Brooks said, "So this was the truth all along. Shame fed the dark. Honesty starves it. The loss is real. He cannot return to the man who hid. He can become the man who tells. Tears come without drama and fall warm. The room feels wider, not brighter. He takes the vial Evelyn gave and touches the doorframe with oil. He speaks a simple line he can hold under weight. "I will go back and say what I failed to say." He is broken and awake. He is not finished. The white fire dims to a steady wick glow, as if the light moves inside him now. He picks up his coat. He is ready to leave. The hallway to the old door feels longer than before. Each step clicks in time with his pulse. Outside, wind presses rain against the windows like a drum. He reaches the knob and stops. The building hum falls to a thin line of sound. Jonah Brooks said, "I am here." Light flickers behind him as if breathing with him. He hears the shade on the other side, slow and sure. It waits, not rushing, certain of its hold. He draws a breath and holds it. He smells iron and dust and the ghost of soap. Footsteps echo, or maybe it is his heart. Evelyn taught him to stand. Grace taught him to forgive. He places his palm flat on the wood. The moment before impact stretches like wire and sings. The door opens and cold rolls out like a tide. The shade stands in the center of the room, easy and patient. The shade said, "We made a pact." Pain for silence. "You owe me." Jonah Brooks said, "I owe the truth." The room answers with a rattle in the vents. He steps in and does not close the door. He tells the story he buried. He says the name he avoided. Each word lands like small stones on ice. Cracks run but do not break. The shade laughs without sound and grows taller. The silver herald's glow settles at Jonah's shoulder. Not loud, not wild. Two ways hold the same space. The clash is not loud. It is steady. The lines are drawn, and there is no third road. The shade reaches for his chest, but a figure steps into the doorway and takes the weight. Evelyn Carter said, "Stand in light." She absorbs the first wave with a prayer that sounds like a whisper in a bell. The force throws her back against the frame. Jonah catches her before she falls. The room holds its breath. Evelyn smiles through pain that she does not hide. Evelyn Carter said, "Do not trade truth for calm." Not again. Her hand finds his and squeezes once. Time slows enough to see what love costs. He feels the price and does not turn away. He sets her gently on the chair and faces the cold. The cost is noted. It is worth it. Jonah steps into the center and raises no weapon. He raises truth. He speaks the wrong he did and asks no bargain. The shade swells, then thins, as if starving. The silver Herald brightens to a calm fire that does not shout. Jonah Brooks said, "I will feel what I ran from." The room splits into two colors, frost blue and soft white, battling without noise. Wind roars outside, then stops. He places the vial mark on the floor and on his chest. He repeats the line Evelyn taught him. The shade shrinks to the corner, hissing like steam. He moves one step closer, then another. The last step is a choice. He takes it. Silence lands heavy and then opens like a window. The cold recedes. The room breathes again. Evelyn sits, pale but steady, and nods once. Jonah feels tired in a clean way. He looks at the candle and does not need it to speak. He knows what to do next. Jonah Brooks said, "I will go and make it right." The words are simple and full. The floor hum is gone. The air holds warmth that is not heat. He squeezes Evelyn's hand and thanks her without more words. Outside, the rain slows to a soft patter like a benediction. He takes his coat and steps toward the hall. The era of hiding ends here on a quiet breath. Dawn leans through the blinds and settles like quiet ash. The storm has gone and left a soft hush in its wake. Dust hangs in thin light and turns slow. Jonah sits on the floor and lets his breath find a gentle pace. A mug is upright on the table, still damp from the night air. The chair where Evelyn rested holds the shape of her weight. Nothing moves. Everything listens. The white fire is gone, yet he feels its trail inside his chest. He does not speak. He counts the cost without drama. The room smells like wax and rain dried on wood. He hears a street bird try a shy note. It is not music yet. Jonah Brooks said, "Thank you," and the word feels new. He looks to the corner where the cold once stood and sees only shadow. He understands what is missing. The bargain is dead, and with it, his old quiet. He walks the hall where fear once waited and counts each step like beads. Memory slips beside him in short flashes. The locked door, the ivy sting, the click that told him trust had a price. He does not rage. He lets the ache pass through and not root. He hears the drip in a far sink and the tick of a wall clock. Jonah Brooks said, "I forgive, but I will not forget the lesson." He pictures the shade's promise of numb days. He sees his face without light. The image fades like steam on glass. He presses his palm to his chest and feels a steady drum. He does not need proof. He needs to live it. Outside, a bus sighs and moves. He smiles once, small. Life does not stop. It changes shape and keeps going, and he will walk with it. On the church steps, Grace waits with 2 paper cups and a careful glance. Time slows the moment Jonah sits beside her. The city hum lowers to a soft thread. Steam rises and curls, then vanishes. Grace Turner said, "I thought you might come here." He nods and looks at the wet stone. She reaches, then stops, then lets her hand rest near his. Words would spill and drown the quiet. They choose few. Jonah Brooks said, "I told the truth." Her eyes shine in a way that does not demand his pain. He sees the night she survived in the mirror of her face. The echo between them is kind, not loud. He says he is sorry for taking too long. She says nothing and lets it land. The moment seals like wax. Forgiveness takes root without a push. Evelyn leaves a note on the chapel rail, and Jonah finds it at noon. The paper smells like old books and a hint of oil. He opens it and hears her voice inside the lines. Evelyn Carter said, "Stand where fear cannot name you, and when it tries, answer with truth." The words feel older than both of them. He sees her years of quiet service, the doors she held for strangers, the prayers that went nowhere and still mattered. The room carries a warm hush and a memory of candles. He sits in the front pew and lets the silence teach. He thinks of the blade of mercy that cuts chains, not skin. He thinks of the steady way she stood and then bent. A small smile lifts and then falls back to peace. He is not alone in this work. Evening gathers without threat. Jonah returns to the room where it began and sets the candle on its ring. He does not rush. He breathes and lets the day settle. He takes the phone he once ignored and dials the number he avoided. The ring feels like a climb. It connects. He speaks the words he owed. He does not ask to be clean. He asks to be real. Jonah Brooks said, "I am sorry. I should have come. I will show up now." The line holds breath, then answers with a quiet that is not empty. He accepts it. He lights the candle and watches a warm flame hold its shape. The past is not erased. It is faced. He stands, calmer than he thought he could be. The night outside waits, and he's ready to meet it. Morning opens like a held note released. The street is slow, the air clean, the sky a pale wash. Jonah steps outside and listens to nothing in particular. Silence wears a kind face. He thinks of what ended and what began. He lets the names pass with care. He does not claim victory. He honors cost. A sparrow lands near a puddle and tilts its head. He smiles and lets the moment be small. Jonah Brooks said, "Thank you for the day." The words leave and do not return for more. He feels the light inside him hold steady. He does not chase signs. He tends them. The world is not lighter. It is truer. He can carry that. He asks a last question in the quiet, and it waits with him. Was it worth it? He walks the route he once ran and does not hurry. Each crosswalk clicks and lets him pass. He drops the old folded note into a small metal box and keeps the line inside his memory. He deletes a message that kept him stuck and sends a new one with clear words. Jonah Brooks said, "I will be there at noon." The city lifts its pace and he does not fight it. A bus sighs, a window opens, a laugh drifts and fades. His stride evens, not proud, not small. He feels the shape of the vow he made in the dark and keeps it in light. Footsteps mark the beat of a life repaired. He turns a corner and does not look back. At the chapel, a recorder sits by the rail. Evelyn left a short file for those who come after. Jonah presses play and sits. Her voice is soft and firm, like warm stone. Evelyn Carter said, "Mercy is the strength to see and still stay." He feels the theme of the road gather in that line. He hears small sounds in the room, wood ticks and distant step. He thinks of grace and the shared quiet that healed more than speech. He thinks of Marcus and the fear that dressed as care. The tape clicks and ends. The silence that follows is clear, not blank. He breathes and lets the words write themselves on the day. Time steps forward. The clinic lights hum, the diner pours coffee, the bus doors sigh open and closed. People move with new rhythm he can now hear. Jonah carries boxes for a neighbor and laughs once at a simple joke. Grace waves from across the street and keeps walking to her shift. Dr. Marcus Hale stands at a window and writes, then sets the pen down and breathes. The city is not fixed. It is awake. The narrator inside Jonah speaks less and listens more. He feels the rest of the story forming in small acts. He does not need to name it. He is part of it. At home, he sets the candle on the ring and strikes a match. The flame rises warm and holds. He turns off the lamp and lets the room breathe. He does not ask for a sign. He offers one. Jonah Brooks said, I have been seen. The words settle into wood and light. He sits in the quiet and lets it widen. The past leans against the present without a fight. The cold is gone. The work remains. The line that ends and begins the journey is simple. He will keep telling the truth even when silence smiles. The flame stays steady and the night does not crowd him. Truth must never be owned.